I quit my $200,000 corporate job because of these 10 words. I was at the hospital today. My cancer is back. And these were the 10 words I received over text message that made me decide to quit my corporate job immediately. At the time, I was a senior director working at an international bank. It was one of the biggest banks in the world, and I was managing a multi-million-dollar portfolio, working with people from 43 countries. But it was really the 10 words I received via text message that made me leave the corporate world behind. And 18 months after this significant event in my life, I feel ready to share. I feel ready to talk about it, and I hope that this story also serves as an inspiration or maybe a lesson that you can resonate with as you also go on your corporate career journey or even your life journey. Growing up, I was very close with my mom. She was the one who prepared all my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And when I graduated from high school and I didn't know what I wanted to do, my mom sat down with me and we explored multiple options on what I should be doing in my career and what I really enjoyed. So my mom has really been there for me since day one. In my career, my mom has always been my cheerleader. She has been there for me, for my ups, and more importantly, for my downs. And I even recall at the beginning of my career when I decided that I wanted to work overseas, she would be the one who would pay for my flight ticket, encourage me to go for the interview, and really encourage me to take that opportunity to live abroad and gain as much exposure as possible. Even though I was really afraid at that time, I was still so young. I wasn't really sure what I was doing at all, but I really appreciated my mom's encouragement, and that was something that was really important to me. And throughout my career, I graduated as a chartered certified accountant and eventually joining one of the biggest global accounting firms in the world. It was called the Big Four, and it was the dream of any accounting student out there. So I made it. I joined the Big Four. It was a glamorous job, great pay, great brand, great position. It was awesome. A couple of years after that, I was headhunted to join a global international bank, managing a multi-million-dollar portfolio and working with people from across 43 countries. It was truly an amazing opportunity, and I was one of the youngest people to be in those leadership positions. I was only in my 20s at that time, but having the great opportunity to be in leadership and management positions was something that I was extremely proud of. And throughout my career, I did many what people would consider stupid decisions or rather ridiculous decisions. But I felt that every time I went home, every time I went and spoke to my mom, I always got support. Not just mental support, but emotional support as well. And that's probably something that I appreciated the most because in my corporate career journey, I rose up to leadership positions when I was really young. This story is a very personal one for me, and honestly, it took me more than 18 months to decide that I'm ready to share it with the world. So if you're watching or listening to this right now, it means that I have finally taken that 10 seconds of courage to share this story and tell you what really fueled my decision to leave the corporate world with zero regrets, because it was the best decisions that I made in my life. The thing is, my mom has been battling cancer for over a decade. And during that time, even though I was working overseas, I consistently traveled back and forth every single month to spend time with her. And when I received that message, that 10-word message, it was the second serious major relapse. And after that initial message, I also received another message where she told me that the doctor said maybe this is the end. She doesn't know. So there were a slew of other messages at that time, which honestly, I don't really remember much because I was so emotional. But definitely the point was I knew immediately that I had to return home. I had to quit. I had to take the right decision. I have to make the right decision for my family, because if I miss this time, I may not get the second chance again. If I miss this time, I this is not something that I can rewind. It's not something that money can buy back the time. It's not something that money can buy back even the presence of like being there. I think that was something that was way more important to me than this multi-million dollar portfolio, this fancy job, this fancy company, this fancy whatever. After the initial shock, I calmed down and really made my decision then that I was definitely going to quit my job and return to spend time with my mom because I didn't know how much time she had. Because the thing was, it was a relapse and it was a second time relapse. Because back in 2008, it was when, as a family, we discovered that my mom was not well, but it was a long journey and we have always been there for her, and she gradually recovered. The moment I quit my job, I returned to Malaysia to spend time with my mom. I accompanied her to her hospital visits. Just spent time with her, talked to her, took care of her for many months. And unfortunately, in 2020, she passed away. By that time, I had already quit my job for almost a year. But I think that year, the 365 days that I managed to spend with my mom, taking care of her, spending time with her, doing things together with her, were truly the most important memories that I have, even though she's no longer with me. But I felt that those were the most important moments that I managed to spend with her. Nowadays, we are so busy in our lives, and I feel like a lot of people tend to focus on the busyness of everyday life, the day to day tasks, the urgent things, the important things. But sometimes I feel like people forget what is the most important thing of all, which is the people closest to you. I mean, just remember why you're working so hard for. And I feel very thankful because this is something that I have never forgotten. I have always remembered that my family matters the most, particularly my mom, because growing up, I was very close to my mom. We spent a lot of time together. We did a lot of things together, and I have really, really amazing memories. So, knowing that something could potentially happen, I planned forward as much as I could, but it still couldn't replace receiving that text message with 10 words because truly it was a very devastating moment. I do feel very grateful. Maybe it's because I'm a chartered certified accountant. I learned about money, personal finance, and budgeting very early on in my life, maybe as a teenager even. And therefore, even from the first day, the day one, a decade ago, when my mom was informed that she wasn't well, I made it a priority for me to save because I just didn't know when or if something big like this would happen. And I just wanted to make sure that during this pivotal time, during this critical time, I wasn't confined by the lack of money, or I couldn't make a certain decision, or I couldn't quit my job because I didn't have any savings. So that was really the thought process I had very, very early on in my career. And because this thing happened, I was very thankful that I made the right decision to start saving money early on. As children, we should be there for our parents until their last day because our parents have been there for us since day one. My mom treated me like gold, like I was probably her princess. And I felt that it was my duty, it was the most important thing, even more important thing than my job or anything else, to really be there for her during her last days. And that was something that I was really grateful I was able to do. And the reason why I was able to do that was because I had been saving money for years to be able to do that. So overall, I'm still extremely thankful that I spent her last days with her, and those are the memories that will stay with me for a long, long, long time and for the rest of my life. And I think one of the biggest reasons why I could really go home and spend time with my mom was because I have been saving for years, and I've also lived a very simple life. I'm personally a minimalist, so that really allowed me to have a lot of savings that I could last multiple years without really thinking about returning to the corporate world, and really having the flexibility to choose when I wanted to return to the corporate world. Interestingly, during the time as a caregiver, taking care of my mom, there were a few people who reached out to me asking me if I could help them give with some career advice and wanting to learn from my corporate experiences. I am a corporate junkie at heart, and I vibe the best with other corporate professionals. And what happened was, after leaving my corporate job for a few months, I started getting questions from people who really wanted to get career advice from me and learn from my corporate experiences, because I used to be a corporate leader managing multi-million dollar projects. I was working with people from 43 countries. I also had my own team. I had team members that I coached, I mentored, I guided throughout all aspects of their career. And that was how I ended up as an accidental career coach. I still say that I'm an accidental career coach even up to today, because I never really planned to be a career coach or anything like that. The main goal definitely was just to return home, spend time with my mom, take care of her, and really spend the last days with her, which were the most important and meaningful thing. But I'm also very thankful to have the opportunity to help somebody else to survive and thrive in the corporate world, with a lot of my corporate experiences. So that was an added bonus during a very tough time in not just my life, but my family's life. If you're watching or listening to this right now, my message to you is to always choose love. Always choose the people who you truly love, you really care about, and choose your family. Because at the end of the day, it is the people who are closest to you that matter the most. But before you can truly do that and be there for your family, remember to take care of your personal finance, actively manage your money, your lifestyle, so that you can make the right choices at the right time when the time comes for it, if it ever comes, and make those decisions without any regret. Because honestly, the decision for me to quit my corporate job and return to take care of my mom and spend the time with her until her last days were the best decision of my life, and I will never ever ever regret that. It really doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what kind of position that you hold. It doesn't matter how big the company you work in, or it doesn't matter what kind of fancy clothes or car or watches that you wear. If you're not there for the people that you care about at the most important moments of their life, and you maybe even miss those important moments of their life, it's not something that you can get back, because time is something that if it's gone, it's gone. And for some people, particularly the people closest to us, if you miss that chance, then you really miss the chance. If you ever face this situation just like I have, I hope that you will never make a decision that you will regret for the rest of your life.